Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca is one of the most well-known tracks in all of American open-wheel racing. It's a track that measures 2¼ miles in length, and of course it has that 180-foot elevation change known as the corkscrew. Our coverage of the classic Indycar series starts in just 1 moment's time here on RaceSpotTV. Welcome to the desert. Welcome to Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca for this, the classic IndyCar series. And even though we have a championship already in the books, still got over 10 drivers eligible for P2 and P3 in the championship. Today we'll be racing for 1 hour 45 minutes around this 2.3 mile racetrack that is set deep in the desert. It's bone dry here at Laguna. Here's a look at your starting grid for this afternoon's event. Just 1 moment, ladies and gentlemen. We do seem to have just lost our timing and scoring overlay, so do bear with us. We'll get that grid up on your screen as quickly as we can as we get ourselves ready for the start of our event here. This is the classic IndyCar series on RaceSpotTV. Police will with you this afternoon. Will Vincent here up along in the booth. There's a look high above there at this magnificent racetrack. And there you can see the drivers are just lining themselves up on the starting grid right now as we just pan that camera towards the start line. You can see pole position driver. He is already in the grid as we just now got ourselves about a minute. So we should now be able to get that grid up on your screen. Indeed, there we are. Dennis Grease on pole position. Robert Grosser in second. We're going to cycle that one back for you as quickly as we can. You can see there, we've got a nice field here today of 19 drivers taking part in this evening's event. All different nationalities from around the world as well. You've got drivers from Europe, you've got drivers from Australasia, you've got drivers from the Americas. And we are going to go racing in literally 1 moment's time. There you can see the play clock while sticking down. These drivers have 10 seconds to get themselves on the grid. It's a standing start for this event. The pace car, where you can see it's sat on pit road. So now it's time to go racing. So drivers now revving their engines. This round of the championship officially starts now. Oh, we got a car off already there. That's the number 77 car. And that was down in towards turn number 1. That was Tim Bertie. That almost was catastrophic. They're 2 wide, 3 wide, down in towards turn number 1 for the first time. But that one could have been huge. We've got a driver going a little bit wide there in turn number 1. Does look as though you all get through it. Someone's picked up a cone along the way. But we are officially starting this race as these guys work themselves through turn 2, now down into turn 3 for the first time. This is Daniel Barisa, and we're going to ride on board of him. You can see, well, that's cone drama. There's no other way of saying it. That is really going to affect him. It does look as though he's just been able to kick that one out from the car. But the number 71 car there, Daniel Preherson, well, he had himself a tough race. Tough start to this race even, with that cone drama going on. But Carisi leads. We're staying on board of Barisa, and this is how tough the corkscrew is, especially on lap number 1. Look at the elevation drop there as they work themselves down through the corkscrew. And well, we've got the lap times ticking off quickly here, but we'll get the first lap in the book in just 1 moment's time. Dennis Carisi will lead. At the end of lap number 1, we've got a car spinning it around. That's Mark Usher. And that's on the exit of the final corner as he comes underneath the bridge. He's under pressure now from Tim Bertie in towards that first car. Mark Usher in the number 20 machine down places. We're on board with that driver of Mark Usher right now. He does actually manage to keep 4th place in the race for the time being, but almost completely binned that one. Well, Dennis Carisi leads there. The gap to himself and Robert Grosser is already about 3/4 of a second as they now work themselves up the hill for the second time in this event. Robert Grosser runs himself in the 2nd place, and then Andres Warner runs out your podium. So you've got yourself an all-pan-European podium as it stands. Carisi, of course, from France, then Grosser and Warner even, 2 German drivers. Behind Mark Usher is your first Brit in the field. He runs himself in P number 4. And then Tim Bertie, another German driver, running himself in the 5th position as things stand. Well, all drivers have gotten themselves away in this event. We had 1 driver starting from pit road. We see it at the rear of the field. You've got the Australian-New Zealand driver of Stephen Alano in the number 67 machine, heading himself out the final corner in P number 19. He started this race in P number 19, looking as though he's just trying to keep it nice and steady for these opening couple of laps. And he was 4 seconds a lap slower that last time by compared to your race leader, Dennis Carisi. So that is one thing that these drivers will need to pay attention to. He is inside 110% racing pace. So at this stage, he is good to be able to carry on in this event. But on board then with Dennis Carisi in the number 16 car as he works himself up the hill and down. Well, he will come back down through the corkscrew. Listen to the engine note. That car looks exceptional right now through the corkscrew. He'll come down in towards the final couple of corners. And it is a timed race here, so the lap number count will be interesting. It will come down to pit stops a little bit. It'll be intriguing to see how these guys will preserve their tyres, preserve their fuel, especially at the start of this event, to put themselves in a better position once they get through that first pit stop, potentially see whether they can do the undercut. And strategy will be important here. This can be a track where overtaking is difficult, but we've talked about overtaking. Well, we've got a little bit side by side right now. This is Andrew Brown versus Maximilian Schneider, and the 777 breech post car there of Schneider running himself in the 9th position for the time being. There you can see on the exit of turn number 3 into 4. And let's go on board then with the driver of Schneider. He's going to go to the outside there, and he's not quite going to be able to make it work. The 777 machine of Maximilian Schneider has worked himself in that 777 car up the hill. And well, he's scrapping it out. This is the best battle that we have on track right now. And well, you can see the gap is pretty much nothing. 0.4 of a second, which is about a car length. We'll go back on board then with Schneider. Oh, we've got a car off. We've got a car off. We'll try and figure out who that was. It looks as though that is Jack Baker. The number 111 car has got himself back going again. But Jack Baker in the JPS car. Looking as though he is our first big off of the day. Let's try and experience this one. On board then with that number 111 machine as he heads himself then through the kink up towards the corkscrew. You can see that car. It's handling a little bit rough. There's a little bit of understeer in that car. Into the corkscrew. Okay for the first apex. Oh, back end. Always fighting the back end there on the exit. And then, yeah, the back end of the car just going to kick out on the exit of the corkscrew. Down in towards turn. And, well, Baker is now down into the 13th place on track. He didn't hit anything. So he's fine in that regard. However, for the time being, just a little bit of egg on his face. As you can see, a net loss there of 5 positions for Jack Baker in that car. Let's have a look. 1 position further up in the field. We're going to go on board with Jürgen Kaljan. And this is on the exit now of the chicane, heading himself down in towards the final couple of corners. And he's still got the Deutsch Post car as well, right on the rear of Andrew Brown into the final corner. These two guys will come. And it's going to be a drag race down in towards turn 1, surely. These guys haven't got pushed to pass, so they are going to have to do it on the racetrack. And I don't think Schneider's going to be close enough in towards turn 1. He's trying, but no, he won't be able to. Under braking. Nice tight line being taken there by Andrew Brown. And you see behind as well, you got yourself Juan Joseph Sturm versus Hernan Cauldron from the rear of Juan Joseph Sturm. Let's have a look. We know Sturm is an impeccable driver at times. That DH car, don't forget, you can see him most likely and his teammates as Club DH look to get themselves another World Cup title. That will be across multiple broadcasters on iRacing Live starting next week as the World Cup of iRacing is back. Who will be the 2015 World Cup champions? Only 2 clubs have ever won the World Cup. That has been Club DH and Club Finland. And well, it's going to be very interesting to see what will happen as we've got ourselves a little bit of a preview right now as we work ourselves on the exit of the final corner with Hernan Cauldron. As we've got Finland versus DH there. Big lunge down to the inside on the exit of the final corner. Cauldron not got the momentum. He stuck it down the inside. He might try and do the same again. Looking in towards turn 1. Will he try and make the move? The answer is he tries, and he actually will force Sturm to go offline, and Cauldron will win that battle. He moves up into P number 11, and what a move just behind that as well. Jack Baker trying to come back through the field, just stuffed it down the inside, and he moves himself up a spot as well. Let's get a replay of that one. It was a great second bite at the cherry, really, for Jack Baker. You could see what was going on around him. This is down in towards turn 1. Get our 360 cam working, so you can see the number 55 car slots it down the inside. Number 34 machine is done, pushing wide, and then Baker exit of the corner, better momentum. He thinks, you know what, you're distracted, I'm going to have you into turn number 2, and that is exactly what Baker does, recovering from that spin earlier on the exit of the corkscrew. The JPS car now up into P number 12. Out front, Robert Grosser has fallen back. He's fallen back. Actually, no, the reason why is Mark Usher is storming through the field right now. Usher is up into P number 2 and closing the battle of the race leader. There you can see the lap times. Last time by 110.2. Dennis Grace, 109.9 for Mark Usher. 3 tenths of a second faster. The only driver to get his car into the 109s so far in this race. We're going to ride on board then with Mark Usher. One might argue it's just going to be a matter of time here. Dennis Grace is going to have to play a lot of defense as Usher so far has moved up 2 spots in this event so far. There you can see. In fact, he's up 3 spots. I take that one back from his starting position. We zoom in as these guys work themselves through turn 1. The gap is 3 tenths of a second. Usher just looking for a hole now, but we know that Grace is impeccably strong. He is generally unwilling to move out of the way, and he's very good at running defensive lines. And there you can see then down in towards turn number 4 once again. Let's have a look from the rear this time of Dennis Garis as they head themselves up the hill. And this is a lovely camera. You'll see the elevation changes between these two as they work themselves up the hill. Hitting themselves up to about 245 kilometers an hour on the run down into the corkscrew. Turn 8A. Exit now in towards turn number 9. Nicely held there by Garis. And you'll notice the dirty air will start to become a factor to Usher. This is why he wants to get past quickly, because he knows he's going to try and think about looking down to the inside. Mark Usher will move himself straight to the race lead. Big lunge down to the inside. Final corner. Mark Usher, P5 to P1. Exceptional stuff. Let's relive that one then for Mark Usher, because that one, we knew it was coming. We knew that Garis would always try and defend. Let's try and slow it down. We'll explain to you what happened right about here. This is the exit of the second to last corner. You'll just notice that Garis moves his car all the way to the right-hand side of the racetrack. Usher plants it to the left. At this point, Garis hasn't started turning the wheel. Usher thinks, you know what, this is my chance. I'm going to move itself down to the inside. Garis decides not to turn into him. And the kart car on the exit of the corner decides, okay, you go and take the race lead. And here's one statistic you need to know. Usher already has a 1 second lead over Dennis Garis. The Mark Usher, the Club UK and Ireland driver, is in the lead of this event and a 1 second advantage already. And it's worth noting, of course, that Club UK and Ireland, we're going to talk about the World Cup quite heavily on RaceSpotTV over the next couple of months as we work with various broadcast partners, V8 online with the Global Sim Racing channel and more, to bring you coverage of the 2015 World Cup. Club UK and Ireland have never won a World Cup. They have been involved in controversy over the years. They've come close, but they never really seem to have a team that could be dominant. That could change this year. Club UK and Ireland have improved on the ovals, and they're using an open wheel car for the road course, which is one of the cars that this club seems to like. That will be the Dallara DW12, not the IR05 model that we're using here today. Club France, on the other hand, they have struggled. It's unlikely France will play a major factor in this, but we've got ourselves now nice freeway battle going on. This is for P number 3, 4, and 5 on track. As we're going to have a look then on board from the rear of Andreas Warner as they head themselves up the hill. As well, he's got himself Mikel de Jong right behind him. De Jong running himself in P4, and then Tim Bertie rounds out your top 5. From P3 to P5, you've got yourselves 1 second. Behind, you've got yourself another battle going on. This is Andrew Brown, Maximilian Schneider, and Daniel Barison. Maximilian Schneider has not found himself away past Andrew Brown yet. We go on board with the Deutsche Post Asia Tech car. Exit, second to last corner, down into the final corner. P number 7 for the treble 7 car as he works himself now out of that final corner. You can see behind Daniel Barison is there in the mix as well. And all these drivers are now trying to break the toe from each other. We've got ourselves a bit of a train developing down in this P6, 7, 8 battle. This could well be entertaining. And joining the fray as well, Robert Grosser has had himself a big incident. And Grosser, away from our screens, has fallen down into P number 9. Now, of course, he has won the championship already, but away from our screens, Robert Grosser just had himself a miserable. He lost himself 12 seconds in the last lap. We're going to try and figure out what happened to Robert Grosser if we can. Well, at this point, he was up ahead of... we're just rolling the tape now on the replay, so you'll experience it with us. At this point, he was ahead of the driver of Andreas Warner, but something has happened to Robert Grosser. He's down on the field, as by the way, Stephen Catalano has had himself an off as well. Benjamin Nelson has made himself a pit stop of 17 seconds. And this is the replay of Robert Grosser. We're going to figure out what happened to him as he worked himself up the hill. As he doesn't push wide here, I've got a feeling it might be a second victim of the corkscrew so far this weekend. The Gecko Systems car coming down into the corkscrew. Does the back end kick out? Something happened to that car. He had himself a 125 lap, but something definitely did happen to it. And it just seems to be, though, that we can't figure out exactly when this happened to Robert Grosser, but he is definitely now well down the field. We can confirm that one to you. He's lost out to a number of drivers, and Robert Grosser is now down in P number 9. To give you an indication, by the way, that is a net loss of 7 spaces. He's actually just lost a position to Paul Morris, and there's the incident there, and he tagged Andreas Warner down in towards turn number 1. That's why one has been going a little bit slowly as well. The car of Robert Grosser, it's all tangled up, and that is what happened to Robert Grosser. So we're going to get ourselves one more look at that one on board with him, but now we know what happened to your series champion. Grosser lost the back end of that car in towards turn number 1. It looks like he snatched the brake. We'll listen in. Back end in towards turn number 1, tries to settle the car. There's the contact of Andreas Warner. He's turned around, and Robert Grosser, well, this is not the homecoming that he would want in the championship. Got to say, a happy anniversary to him and his wife as well, celebrating their anniversary here. Well, not here today, but they are celebrating their anniversary today. Not the way that Robert Grosser would want to do it in sim racing. As you can see there, substantial damage to the left, to the driver's right-hand side of that number 3 machine. There you can see the Gecko Systems logo completely scraped off the side of that car. To give you an update, Stephen Catalano had himself a pit stop previously. He had himself a spin previously, getting some repairs done to his race car, all the way down in P number 19. He's out and away in 8 seconds. Maximilian Scheider right on the rear of Andrew Brown. This is down into the corkscrew. This is as close as Schneider's been as he worked himself out the corner, down into turn number 10. Still not close enough. And I tell you what, there is a gaggle of cars enveloping around these guys as well as Schneider almost running into the rear of Brown, and now the back end loose for Schneider. This could give the opportunity to Daniel Burrison to try and close up into turn number 1. He's not going to be quite close enough. Schneider able to dodge a bullet here, but these tyres are starting to get worn. And of course, you can see on the exit of turn number 1, the marbles will start to build up on the side of the racetrack, and it essentially makes passing more and more difficult as this race progresses. As we're just checking in, this ongoing battle, P3, 4 and 5, Andreas Warner, Tim Bertie, Mikel de Jong, scrapping it out to have the last step on the podium. Let's go on board with Bertie. Exit of turn number 10. Now working himself down in towards turn number 11. You can see that the graphic on your screen. Bertie's lost 1 place so far today. We're going to ride a lap on board with Tim Bertie in that number 77 machine. Well, that's what it's like to do a lap here of Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. That is on board with the 77 machine of Tim Bertie as his last lap time, a 1:10.856. Fastest guy on track, well, it's this guy. It's Mark Usher, who already has a 3.7 second advantage over Dennis Garis. Two leaders here today. They are Usher and Dennis Garis, as they have each led to this point 8 laps of the event each, as we are working ourselves on lap number 17 now of this timed event. It is 105 minutes of race time. We're running what was similar to the rule package they used in the, I'm going to use the official title, the Bridgestone presents the Champ Car World Series powered by Ford, also known as Champ Car. What they used in the latter years, of course, when Sebastian Bourdais was so dominant. Schneider, by the way, back onto the rear of Brown. It seems to be sector number 1, Brown's a little bit better. Sector number 2, Schneider's better. Sector 3, they are exactly the same. As a little bit of a back-end kick out for Brown through the corkscrew. That's going to upset his car down into 9, but Schneider, the dirty air, nothing he can do there at all. And Schneider's forced to sit in line and wait once again. But I think that Brown is just starting to get a little bit rattled in the Aquapure car. Exit of turn number 11, off to start another lap they will go. And again, you'll notice that Schneider just doesn't seem to have the straight end speed. And just having a look there with the toe, Schneider is only able to go a kilometer an hour faster, despite having that toe. And of course, this car does not have push to pass compared to the Dallara DW12 available. So these guys are running it essentially only with what they have with that right foot. In-car tools, well, they can mess about with some things. They've got the anti-roll bars, both front and rear, which they can utilise. Of course, on an oval, they'd have the weight jacket. You wouldn't really want to use a weight jacket at this racetrack, but hey, there are some crazy people doing crazy things at times. Oh, back-end kick out! Schneider running into the rear there of Brown on the run down into the corkscrew, riding on board with Schneider at the time, and it just seemed to be the back end kicked out for Brown. How much damage is there to Schneider's car? Schneider looking as though he may have actually just cut the course. No, Brown is going to let Schneider go past. Brown may have some rear wing damage. He's falling back. We'll get ourselves a replay of this in a moment, but Brown is going to have to bring his car on towards pit road. No, he stays out, and he's going to get passed there by Daniel Burrison on the exit of the final corner, too wide as they come down past start finish line. Well, it's all kicked off now in your mid-pack. Let's get ourselves another look at this entire incident with Andrew Brown. And by the way, Burrison, it did complete the pass in the end. So we're going to use our aerial coverage. Our aerial coverage today is brought to you by the iRacing Forum app for Android. Let's have a look then. And this is, we're going to slow it down again as he works himself down into the kink right about here. So we'll just slow it down, and you'll notice, we'll focus it in, he just clips there, the sausage curb, and that's just going to upset the balance of that car. He's going to get it into a slide, and at this point, there's only one real line. You can see that Schneider's going to try and move to the left-hand side. He can't in time, can't slow the car down in time, and at that point, Andrew Brown, looking as though he may have had a bit of damage to that race car. We're going to speed the tape up, go on board with him. A little bit of rear wing damage. And then, he cuts the course, and that's why he had to slow down. He overshot the braking zone down into the corkscrew. So that is why Andrew Brown ended up having to lose, yield some time. He had the inside line into the final corner. He was trying to work himself past the number 71 car. 71 machine there, Burrison doing the under-over on him. And then these two actually pretty much stayed side by side on the run down in towards turn 1. They were separated by nothing. Diach versus Club UK and Ireland. Brown looking to the outside, trying to make himself the pass there, going around the long way in towards turn 1, but was unable to do so. And they almost made contact themselves, but very hard, clean racing. And look at this! Oh, they did make contact in the end, and Brown forced his way back past, and that is why Brown is in a net 7th place on track. It's close between these guys right now, and I tell you what, they're being clean and respectful for the most part, but a little bit of a frustration just kicking in here and there. Behind, Jack Baker, treble 1 machine. We saw him go off at the start of this event. He's tried to come back through the field. We're going to have a look. They can see. We'll cycle our camera around. He's chasing Johan Karlsson. Of course, Karlsson we're talking about a little bit earlier on in this event. Baker on the exit of turn number 10 now, down into 11 he will come as he's trying to hunt the number 55 car down. Give you an update, we've got 17 drivers on the lead lap. We've got a couple of people 1 or 2 laps down. They're both 2 laps down, actually. They are Benjamin Nelson in the number 26 machine. As we're having a look at him right now, he is scored 2 laps behind your race leader. He's made a pit stop for 17 seconds. In fact, he's made 2 stops today. And Steven Catalano has made himself a stop as well. As we've got a driver on pit road we just saw from the rear of one of our camera shots. So we're going to pay our attention to that. And it's Robert Grosser on towards pit road. Now, we expected him potentially to come in early because, of course, he has got a damaged race car. He comes back out and away in 8.1 seconds. They've done some repairs. to the right-hand side of that Gecko Systems car, and he will come back out onto track. So slow, this pit exit. So slow. As we've got ourselves Mark Usher, your race leader now, is on pit road. There you can see Usher going to get himself 4 tyres, get himself topped up with fuel. Long stop, 10.6 seconds. He comes back out, and I just want to go on board now with Usher. We're going to show this to you. Just how slow it is getting out of pit road here. There you are, I've got to slow that car all the way down. But Usher back out onto track, down in P5 for the time being. But we are in for our first pit stop sequence of the day. As there you can see, your race leader, it is Dennis Garisi in the number 16 car. So this is our 3rd different lead change of the event. We're going to ride on board then with Garisi as he's just going to go past that pit road. So he's not coming in this time by. Oh, we got a car off! 2 cars off potentially. Paul Morris. Paul Morris is the driver involved in that number 81 car. Let's figure out the Canadian driver trying to get that thing turned around, and it looks like he will be able to do so. But there was 2 drivers who we saw potentially involved in that on our timing and scoring. Let's figure out what happened then. Paul Morris in the number 81 car. We're going to have a look on board of him. Oh, he's going to slide. 2 drivers had 2 things happen at the same time. Morris had something happen by himself. And then I'm trying to figure out who the other driver was, but someone else also had themselves an incident. We'll try and figure out who that one is if we can give you an update. Well, we've had ourselves a couple of people make pit stops. Garisi looking as though he might be going longer. We need to keep an eye out on how many laps longer Garisi will be going compared to Mark Usher, because it could well be the difference in strategy here as well. Now, Usher came in after less than half an hour's worth of racing, so he's doing a 25-minute stint. Maybe he's just trying to get the short stint out the way, and then we'll take 2 full tanks to finish this event. But that's another time past the stripe. Garisi is going to go. Tim Bertie runs himself in P number 4 right now. As you can see, that Vortex Sim Racing number 77 car. Here's a look, though, at your top 8 overall. Garisi is your leader by 10 seconds over Andres Warner. Of course, Warner having a little bit of damage after an incident which involved himself and Robert Grosser. Grosser getting himself the back end kicking out in towards turn number 1. Then Warner had nowhere to go as Grosser's car came back across the track. Mikel de Jong is in 3rd place. You can see he's right behind Robert Grosser right now. Tim Bertie is in P number 4. Then you've got yourself Mark Usher, the first of the drivers to have pitted, 25 seconds behind your race leader in P number 5. You've got yourself Schneider in P6. You've got Aaron Brown in 7th, and then rounding out your top 8 is Baker. As we've got ourselves, Johan Cauldron is on pit road as we speak, and in fact just coming out of pit road. We'll just try and zoom our camera out. There we are. And you can see the number 55 machine has made himself a pit stop of 9.7 seconds. So he's going to come back out onto the racing surface. And we get a look then from our aerial coverage once again. Our aerial coverage today is brought to you by the iRacing Forum app for Android. Ongoing battle then, P number 2 and 3 and 4. We're going to ride on board with Mikel de Jong as we're going to vary. Oh, we're not actually going to do anything because I just saw a car that seemed to have been, potentially have gone off. But I can't see any drivers showing as not right on our timing and scoring machine. So that one is a little bit interesting. But let's go back on board then with Mikel de Jong in that number 5 car as he works himself up the hill, heading himself towards a corkscrew once again. So we've had 3 different lead changes now in this event. Garisi has led 12 laps. Usher has led 12 laps of the 24 that have so far taken part in this event. De Jong, we need to think tyres may be a factor here today. We need to have a look at Usher's lap times. His last time was a 1:10.4. So slower. Now he's got a full tank of fuel underneath him. But we're going to step aside very briefly, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back, and we're going to take you RaceSpotTV side by side.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget, coming your way soon here on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live, it is the return of the iRacing.com Pro Series of Road Racing. Some of the world's best drivers are one step away from the glory of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series, but first, they must endure an intensive 10-race schedule held over just 13 weeks. It's the iRacing.com Pro Series of Road Racing. It is Saturdays from 2 p.m. GMT, and it lives on iRacing Live. Yeah, and Carlton on pit road, and that car is terminal. He is out. Let's try and figure out what happened to him. But that number 55 machine had made a pit stop. He's now out of the race. Well, this is exit of turn number 1 then. It's on sector number 1. We know that. That's all the word that we've had. It's in sector number 1. But here is the number 55 car. McDonald's sponsored. Exit of turn number 3 now. Back end's going to kick out hard into the wall there for the number 55 machine of Jürgen Carlton. He is out of this event. That is our second retiree of the day. We're just going to take ourselves away from him, but it's unfortunate that Carlton now is our second retiree of the day. He's going to join Paul Morris, who is classified as out of the event. Now let's have a look. This is interesting because now Dennis Garis has done many more laps, and I mean many more laps than Mark Usher. In fact, what Usher did, he wanted track position early, and it seems to be that he's going to have to do 2 full loads in this event. Usher, though, is still the only person into the 109 in this event so far. This driver, Dennis Garis, has led 17 laps of this event, but, and here's the interesting point, it looks as though that he's on a different strategy to Mark Usher, so it could be a classic case of hair and tortoise as Lars Bachmann is on towards pit road then in the Be On Edge car. Number 53 machine heading himself down pit road. A little bit of a tweak to the left front wing. They should get that one repaired over the course of this pit stop. Let's have a look. Actually, no. It looks as though they're not going to sort that damage out to it. We're just going to show you what I mean. There on the left-hand side of that car, just a little bit out of shape on that Be On Edge. Buzzing Hornet, number 53 car, as he will now come back out onto the racing surface. Carlton is still on pit road. Mikel de Jong and Andreas Warner still separated by just half a second as they work themselves out of turn number 2. Mikel de Jong now down on the back straightaway, heading himself back straightaway, a little straightaway, as he heads himself now towards the back section of the racetrack. And you can see he's trying to get himself some clean air into these braking zones. Now, some of these guys have done 30 laps on a single set of tyres. They are going to get one. This is a high wear track, and this track is going to become narrower and narrower as far as the groove is concerned. The marbles, the little pickup rubbers, is going to end up on the edge of the racing surface, and it means that here especially, at the corkscrew, things are going to become a lot more difficult for drivers. And we've noticed already that, oh, we've got Sturm on towards pit road, so we'll turn our attention to that. We've noticed already that we have got a couple of drivers who have started to fall back. As a consequence, this track has changed, and Gareece, there you can see, is on towards pit road. Andres Warner on towards pit road as well. Mikel de Jong leads this motor race now. So it looks like this will be our fourth different lead change of the day. Our third leader, here is Gareece. We're riding on board with him. We expect a similar pit stop time to what Mark Usher did of 10 seconds. What's it going to be? A long stop. 12.5 seconds for Gareece. Out and away. That is essentially 40 minutes almost that he's done there on that first stint. Usher is away and he's ahead by 13 seconds already. This is going to be big. But note the lap time down. Lap number 31 for Dennis Gareece. Mark Usher, of course, has made himself a pit stop. He's cycled through. It's been a while since he's been on pit road. In fact, about 15 laps almost soon for Mark Usher. So we've got to bear that one in mind. Mikel de Jong, how much longer can this guy go on this set of tyres? He's heading himself down in towards turn 10. We go on board with him. Is he going to turn left? No, he's not. Not yet, anyway. Now he's going to come through the final corner. Of course, there, you do need to turn left. But on the exit now of the final corner, heading himself down towards turn number 1. As we've got more people coming on and off of pit road. That was Tim Miller. Yeah, he's just going to come back out on track. Of course, we see Miller on Tuesday nights as well, as he is a participant in the 16th Street Racing League. Our coverage of that is presented by Verizon and Racer Magazine. And you can catch that every Tuesday from 8 PM Eastern Time on Indycar.com. When you see Miller, it's actually just going to be put a lap down from Mark Usher. There you can see Mark Usher in P number 2, 9.6 seconds behind Mikel de Jong. Of course, de Jong hasn't actually yet made a stop, so he will have to come on towards pit road in a couple of moments' time on board. I love this angle. You can just see there, using some gyro camera technology, just the G-forces that these drivers deal with over the start. This section of the racetrack is absolutely huge, and it looks like de Jong's going to come in then. So 32 laps is all he can do. It's Daniel Berman is on, Berenson even is on pit road. So I say apologies for messing up that one up. But Berenson's on pit road, and he actually, I do believe, yeah, he was the driver that we saw go off a little bit earlier on in this event. So he is the blue and black car that we saw at the same time we saw another driver earlier having a spin. It was Berenson, who also spun down in turn 4 earlier on. He's actually going to come out very close, but he's just going to lose out there to Lars Brackman. So Berenson outside of your top 10 when all is said and done. Mikel de Jong out in 12.3 seconds. Building up the speed. Who's behind him? That's Andres Warner. Cone's being kicked up all over the place. It's going to be close. Warner should get a better run out of turn number 1, but de Jong will get third place. He leapfrogs past Andres Warner on the pit stop. Mikel de Jong is now up in towards P number 3, and that means Warner is down into P4 for the time being. The Tequila Patron car, the number 8 machine then of Andres Warner, now has to push. He had himself a 0.2 of a second quicker pit stop, did Andres Warner. It looks as though he will lose out overall in terms of the podium position for the time being. Having a look down the field, and you can see that Sturm still continues to banner out with Tim Miller. This is the P number 12 and 13. This is down in your pack. And oh, Miller's going to spin it. Miller's going to spin it. Oh, what a shame there for the Chicago's Pizza Cobscom car of Tim Miller down in towards turn number 1. We've seen this with drivers already in this event today. We're seeing it again. Turn number 1 is incredibly slippy. On board then, replay with Tim Miller. He just touched the white line. Just touching a white line, and the white lines are so slippery here. That means our closest battle on the track now is this one. Daniel Berenson scrapping it out with Lars Bachmann for P10, P11 on track. This one separated by about a second as we get ourselves a look at this magnificent racetrack. And you can see lap traffic is starting to become more and more of a factor now. That number 53 car of Bachmann has just been passed there by Mark Usher, who has re-inherited the race lead. 5 different lead changes now today in this event. As well, look at this one. Berenson is right behind, just 3 tenths of a second, but we have seen that overtaking can be difficult here today on this racetrack. Number 71 car down into 5, scrapping it out. Of course, he's been in the wars a little bit here today. You can see that he's been as high as P7, as low as P number 12, trying to get himself back up into the top 10. As Warner's going to go and have a scrap with De Jong. Warner's moved himself up into P number 3. Andreas Warner has moved himself up now into 3rd place. He's just got past Mikel De Jong, but De Jong looks as though he's going to try and come back. Let's get ourselves another look at that one, because it just happened. Andreas Warner moved himself back up into P3. He's now ahead of Mikel De Jong. Well, there's the reason why De Jong was all forms out of shape there in towards turn number 1. You can see at this point, the gap was huge. Oh, look at that. De Jong just sideways drift there through turn number 2. And that allowed Andreas Warner to say, thank you very much. I'll have my podium position back. Andreas Warner back up into your top 3. Let's get ourselves another look if we can. This time from on board with Mikel De Jong. Hold on to your chair for this one, because this could be entertaining. We saw some form of drift from Mikel De Jong. It's going to happen at this corner here. Let's listen. What car control, though, from the number 5 machine, the Madgate racing car of Mikel De Jong. He's now down into P number 4, but right behind Andreas Warner once again. These guys continue to scrap for position, but I will say that's probably the save of the event so far. Mikel De Jong in that number 5 car drifting through turn number 2. And, well, they were able to keep it going, though. So, De Jong, no harm, no foul. I'm wondering what the effect is going to be on those tyres. Whether we'll have that extra little bite he needs. And what is, don't forget, fresher rubber compared to Warner by about 4 laps. But that might be neutralised because, of course, those tyre temperatures now would have spiked. He might have got a flat spot because of that one. Down in your field, this is still P10, still P number 11, still Berenson, still Lars Bachmann scrapping for 10th and 11th place on track. This is the rear of Lars Bachmann car as they come down in towards turn number 2, now into 3 once again. So Lars Bachmann, he's still holding on to that top 10 place in that buzzing Hornet be on edge car. As we've got ourselves Benjamin Nelson. Oh, he's just had an incident. Nelson's just had an incident. And that is the treble 7 machine just going to go past the lap in. But the 26 machine of Benjamin Nelson was already scored laps down. And he's having himself a horrific time trying to get out the way, I think, on the run in towards the corkscrew, the mid-south car. What's going to happen to him here? It looks like that car is already damaged from an incident. It's kind of tiptoeing around right now into the corkscrew. Back end just comes out at the corkscrew completely. That car was never hitting the apex. Something's wrong with the suspension of that number 26 car. It looks as though he's going to have to bring that car on towards pit road, which I believe he is doing so right now. And, well, this could be terminal for Benjamin Nelson. He could be in for a while as he now comes in to make himself a stop. And we'll let you know what happens to Nelson. 1 hour remaining. 45 minutes in the books here then, in the classic IndyCar series, as we've got once again Daniel Berenson. He's actually going to get past this time the number 53 car of Bachmann. He's just done it. He moves himself now up in towards P number 10. Let's get ourselves a second bite of the cherry of that one into the second half almost now of this event. This is a run down in towards turn number 1. This is on board with Daniel Berenson as he comes down in towards turn number 1. Exit of turn number 1. You can see he just gets a much better apex off the corner. Then tries to work the outside line. Slings himself round. Nice, easy, perfection. He moves himself back into the top 10. It's taken him a while. But Berenson now up into your top 10. That number 71 car has also immediately pulled out a 1 second gap. So, let's give you an update on what's happened so far in this the classic IndyCar series from Mazda Raceway, Laguna, Seca. The race started off with Dennis Gariz on pole position, but Mark Usher, on a slightly different strategy, has a commanding lead. Usher started a little bit further down the field than he would have wanted, but he has pulled out now a 19-second advantage, made the pass to the lead on track, but came onto pit road a number of laps before Dennis Gariz in that Vortex Sim Racing number 16 car. Been a bit of a tough day for your championship leader, your actual champion for the season, Robert Grosser, involved in a spin down in turn number 1. He ended up actually collecting also Andreas Warner, which is why your champion is down in P number 6. He has recovered a little bit though. You can see at one point he fell all the way back to P number 17. He's been in the wars, but Grosser continues his last lap time, looking encouraging, a 1:10.695. We've had ourselves a great couple of scraps so far in today's event, particularly in the battle for the final podium position between Andreas Warner and Mikel de Jong. Now, both of these guys have sat in that third place. Most recently, it was Mikel de Jong who was there, being hunted by Andreas Warner, but then de Jong had himself a moment down in turn number 2, and he just touched the white line, sending that car into a 4-way drift, and that meant the Tequila Patron machine of Andreas Warner is now back up into a podium position. So welcome then to the last 57 minutes of this event. Welcome to RaceSpotTV, for those of you who's not been with us before. We're Vincent here throughout the entirety of this event, and don't forget, we've got plenty of racing all weekend long for you. Tomorrow, of course, it is time for Sunday Night Skippies. And it's going to be fast. And it's going to be furious. Once again, Sunday Night Skippies is one of the highlights of the week in terms of sim racing. We get some of the world's best drivers in Formula 2000 machines. We put them all onto a racetrack, we make them go racing. This time we're going to go to Zolder. The high curbs of Zolder always makes for an interesting event. Expect a lot of slipstreaming, a lot of passing. And it's tomorrow night, and that's right here on your home of the world's greatest sim racing series. That is RaceSpotTV. Well, we've seen Brown having to play defense before today. He's going to have to do so again because Brinson has already pulled out a 2.2 second advantage over Lars Bachmann, and now Brinson wants a piece of Andrew Brown. Last time by, Brinson 2.5 tenths of a second faster, and he's closing that gap with every single corner. It's now 1.1 seconds. Soon, Brinson will get the toe. Of course, Brinson will also then get the dirty air, which has plagued a couple of drivers so far in this event as well. Your race leader just broke the 20-second mark in terms of his advantage. This is, in some ways, I am going to have to say, an interesting gap because, of course, we know Usher came onto pit road first, a long way before Dennis Gariz. Now, that's not worth 20 seconds, but it is potentially going to mean that he'll be onto pit road earlier again, and then that final stop for Gariz might take about 8-9 seconds, and of course Gariz will then have fresh tyres and lower fuel for the final stint of this event. There we are, continuing look then at this incredible fight that's been going on between de Jong and Warner as they come down in towards turn number 1. We're going to ride a lap then on board with the guy in P5, that is Mikel de Jong. Let's experience this one on board with him. Well, that's what a lap is like if you're Mikel de Jong trying to hunt down Andreas Warner. Still got Berreson scrapping it out with Andrew Brown. That gap is now half a second on track, but we know that Brown can play effective defense. We've seen it in the first half of this race, where he has been incredible in just defending that car, making that car as wide as possible, although that gap is already now down to a quarter of a second at certain points. We know that Berreson is good in sector number 1. We know that Brown is good in sector number 2. And you just see there, from the rear of Andrew Brown's car, as they come down in towards 10 once again. As well, this well could be a scrap that will go on for the next 52 minutes and 44 seconds. Down past the start finish line they will come. They've done 43 laps so far, these guys, in this event now. So that means they're looking to do about 100 laps-ish in total when all is said and done. Well, there it is, Berreson, running ourselves on board with him. Just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, if you missed the announcement, don't forget, the 2016 Verizon IndyCar Series schedule has been announced. And if you haven't had the chance to look at it, well, guess what? We're going to show it to you now.
Yes, it all starts here. It's opening day for the Verizon IndyCar Series.
From St. Petersburg, Florida, new cars, some new faces, and an old, solid group of veterans and winners.
Get ready, stay with them here.
They call it the Valley of the Sun. They're running laps at 155 miles an hour.
Long Beach, California, a beautiful destination city with a huge sandy beach, great marinas, cruise ships, and once a year, the Verizon IndyCars.
The spectacular, undulating Barber Motorsports Park, Indy Grand Prix of Alabama.
The acceleration begins.
The new champion of the Grand Prix of Indianapolis is...
Everyone wants to win. Only one will.
And with those millions watching around the world.
By the way, it's the biggest race of your lives, gentlemen.
Here in the Motor City, in the first of the duel in Detroit.
Business is picking up at turn 7 at Belle Isle. And the green flag waves at Texas Motor Speedway.
All right, let's go.
Wheel to wheel at 210 miles an hour.
Honda versus Chevy.
Green flag in the air. Sebastian Bourdais is the leader. In the core of America's heartland is a tiny track that packs a speedy IndyCar punch like no other.
Green, green, green.
Well, let's go racing in Iowa.
He needs a penalty.
This is Indy Toronto, and the green flag flies.
He's making a move, but he's going to make him go to the west.
Deep into turn 3. And maybe too deep.
Welcome to the Buckeye State. Drivers, start your engines!
There is a giant crowd at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course.
All right, that's it. Excellent job, young man. Excellent job. You won Mid-Ohio.
The tricky triangle is definitely very tricky.
Look at this pack now.
He's not giving him anything. That's how you're supposed to race.
Over Labor Day weekend of 2016, we will welcome and host the Grand Prix of Boston.
It's the Indy Grand Prix of Sonoma. It's the championship decider. It's time to bring the action.
Race fans, there they are.
from the outside. Contact made. 56 slides it out of 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even. Give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here to the Classic IndyCar Series on RaceSpotTV. Just about halfway through this event right now. We do apologise for the brief technical glitch we had there, but we're back. It's all okay in the world. We're going to ride ourselves back on board then with this guy. It is the one and only Mikel de Jong on board of him as he works himself now down into the second to last corner once again. Still scrapping it out with the driver of Andres Warner as they head themselves through the final corner down to complete another lap. Oh, we got a car off! We got a car off! And is that's Mark Usher! Mark Usher is off! He spins the car around on the exit of the final corner. We've got Tim Birdie spun around as well. I think Birdie's spin was out of sympathy. Mark Usher's was all of his own doing though. Let's get ourselves a replay of this one. Well, let's have a look then. We're on board with Mark Usher. He'd already made himself his second pit stop of the day. That's why he was down in P number 4. Back into that car. Just slid out. He did clip there the wall. And you can see there is some damage to the right front of that car. Tim Birdie had himself a moment as well. We'll show it on for you in a second. But we'll just circle it for you. Right here, there's some damage to the car. And that is going to be a disaster now for Mark Usher. He's fallen dramatically back. Let's get ourselves a replay if we can now from on board with Tim Birdie's perspective as he comes down in towards the final corner. Well, he sees the car spinning. Probably just lost his concentration. He didn't hit anything. Almost got run over though by the I'm trying to figure out which car that was actually, but he almost got run over by the number 53 machine there of Lars Bachmann. We're going to get ourselves a quick look from his perspective if we can. So we're going to go on board of him, final corner, if we can, and unfortunately it doesn't look as though we are going to be able to do so. No, we can't, unfortunately, but Lars Bachmann almost involved there. What was a crazy moment as Mark Usher is on pit road again. So the race has fallen away from Mark Usher. He almost stalled it as he was coming out of the pits as well. The iRacing.com number 20 Club UK and Ireland car. It's a miserable day all of a sudden. He, of course, has led 22 laps of this event. He had just made himself his second pit stop of the day. That was supposed to almost be the case of him trying to bring that car home. He's had to make an additional stop. He is now 44 seconds behind Dennis Garice. Garice right now has only got a 4.5 second advantage over Andres Warner. But this race is far from over now. This race, in fact, has really just started to go. As we have a look, there is the gap. 110.5 last time by for Garice. 111.1 last time by for Andres Warner in the Tequila Patron machine. And then you can see that Warner has now pulled out a bit of a gap over Mikel de Jong. Potentially the dirty air just starting to affect that Mad Cake Racing car of Mikel de Jong. But wow, what a crazy 5 minutes we've just had here as this race has been blown wide, and I mean wide open. We've now got a 6.2 second gap separating out your podium. And here is a look at your top 8 as it stands. Garice leads the way. He leads the way by 4.5 seconds. Then de Jong in third. Bertie is in fourth place. Big gap from Mikel de Jong to Tim Bertie. Then you can see also a big gap from Bertie to Schneider. Schneider runs himself in P5 right now in the Deutsche Post 777 machine. And you've got yourself Mark Usher, who's down in P number 6. He's got a lot of work to do. That has immediately caught up to the rear of Schneider. Baker is in 7th in the 111 machine. And then Robert Grosser, your series champion, is in P number 8. Let's have a look then on board with Mark Usher. Well, we see they've got him a new front wing on that car. It looks as though that is fixed. We're wondering what kind of suspension damage there may be to that car. We are gonna have a look on board with him as he heads himself down towards the final corner right now. Exit of the final corner. He should be stronger under acceleration. You can see that actually McMillan Schneider is only now 2 tenths per second. Will Usher be aggressive in towards turn number 1? Oh yes, he will. Look at that one. Straight down the inside. Usher back up into P number 5. Well, that was easy when all was said and done, but now the real work started. And I tell you one thing, last time by a 109.783 for Mark Usher. He is still the only driver to crack the 109s in this event so far. I am doing the math. If he can do 109s for the majority of the rest of this race, he's not going to be too far away. When pit stops are all cycled through, he'll be about 15 seconds back. We could have ourselves a grandstand finish here at Laguna Seca. We've got someone who's just engines expired. That's Benjamin Nelson. Benjamin Nelson's had a crash in the number 26 machine. Once again, that's the 3rd time we've seen him involved in an incident, and it looks as though this one could well be the end of his event. This was down at the corkscrew, so we'll try and figure out what happened to him from our aerial coverage then as he comes down, and this will be into the corkscrew. We've seen a couple of people have incidents already here today. What happens to him? He comes behind the trees, back end of that car, just going to step out into the wall, and that car is done. He is on pit road. That car's on pit road. It's going to come behind the wall. He is going to be out of the event. Retirees so far in this event. Well, you've got Paul Morris. He is out. You've also got Jörn Karlsson out of the race. Christian Manson as well. In the number 17 machine, it will be classified in P number 17. You've got yourself Benjamin Nelson out of the event. Then you've got yourself Stephen Catalano. He's 7 laps down. But he's going to move himself now up into P number 15 as a consequence of Nelson's mistake just a moment ago. So the Renko number 67 car of Stephen Catalano will be in P number 15. Pit stops, well, they're going to happen again soon. With 40 minutes to go. These drivers, of course, needing to make a minimum of 2 stops in this event here today. The second stop for some of these drivers will be a little bit less. And one interesting development is recently, Mikel de Jong is caught back up to the rear of Andreas Werner. And this is a scrap for P number 2 and 3 on track. We just cycle there up towards the corkscrew for what is going to be their 55th time. Tim Bertie's had an incident. Bertie has had himself an incident then. This is planted into the wall. Planted into the wall down on the exit of turn number 3. Second driver we've seen this happen to today. Here's a replay then for you. Well, this is going to start in turn number 1. Note the fact there's already a little bit of damage to the front end of that number 77 car. But he's going to head himself through turn number 1. No real issues there. And then he'll head himself into 2. There won't be any real issues there either. Back end of the car, so to step out. And at that point, well, nothing he can do. The tyre barriers did their job superbly. But Tim Bertie is out of the event as Jack Baker is on pit road in the Treble 1 car. So he's going to get himself his second stop of the day done. We'll get ourselves another look then at Tim Bertie's crash. As we'll get ourselves a nice little look from up above, actually, as we'll just see. We'll see if we can slow it down, if we get the right angle as well, just to show you the logistics of this incident. And you see the back end at this point, just stepping out on the exit of the corner. And at that point, he was always going to be a passenger, had no car control. That car is done for the day. Just confirmation there. It was an 11.5 second pit stop for that Treble 1 car. He's going to drift it there through turn number 5. Well, it looks as though he's driving an old-fashioned Lotus car. I'll tell you one thing. It's as if he's trying to drive it like an old-fashioned Lotus car. Four-wheel drifts, opposite lock. That JPS car looking exceptional here today. Baker stopped to confirm that one more time. 11.5 seconds. Would have been better if he did 11.1, of course, but you can't always be that predictable on the gun. Tim Bertie, as we say, it looks like he's going to be out of the race. That will move Tim Miller up a position. He's now into P12. Patrick Long will move himself into P13, and Stephen Catalano would eventually move himself into P number 14. It's going to be a while until that happens, however. Mikel de Jong, we talked about this a moment ago, right back now on the rear of the driver of Andreas Werner as they head themselves toward the corkscrew once again. These guys have been at it all race long. And De Jong, well, he wants to, well, in fact, they're both going to get themselves a podium as it stands. Unless, and I'm saying unless, it's an interesting point here. Mark Usher, 39 seconds behind Dennis Garis. These guys are 5 seconds back as De Jong opposite locks there, pushing it wide on the exit of the second to last corner. He almost threw his race away. Be careful there, De Jong. So they're going to cross the start-finish line again. Now, the next time a driver crosses, comes onto the pit road, we're going to time the entire journey from them coming in, going out. You want to know how long that's going to be? Because actually, this race could, as I said, it could be a grandstand finish, in my opinion. Because Usher is still pushing. Usher, I think, might be good to go to the end. If he's not, then I can just throw away all these calculations. But I think Usher might be good to go to the end of this event. Don't quote me on it, however. Back on board of De Jong as they head themselves up the hill once again. But this is a lovely little scrap between these two drivers. Half a second separating them right now. Last time by, both did. In fact, your top three drivers last time by, the lap was separated by 7/100ths of a second. Dennis Garis, Andreas Warner, Mikel De Jong all did 1:10.5. Here's the crazy part. Mark Usher, 1 second faster almost. A 1:09.651. Exceptional stuff as these guys, 36 minutes remaining on the play clock, are going to start themselves another lap of this beautiful, magnificent racetrack. Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. It is based between the towns of Salinas and Monterey in California. And again, we talked about it already. It's most famously known for the corkscrew. It's one of a couple of tracks in California that the Verizon IndyCar Series has gone to. Of course, you've got to think about things like Sonoma Raceway and also Auto Club, Speed Auto Club, of course, not back for the 2016 Verizon IndyCar Series after being unable to find a date that would work for both them and the series. That race, of course, was for many years the season finale, and then they moved it back to June last year, and it made headlines for being one of the most poorly attended IndyCar races in history. Who knows though, one day we might see Laguna Seca back on the racetrack, on the schedule. I think there's going to need to be some safety improvements done first, of course. There have been fatalities before in open wheel racing. 1997, I believe, was one that we had at Laguna Seca. Car flipping over the fence at the corkscrew itself, and a horrific incident. But Tim Burton still scored on pit road, by the way. There you can see that car is absolutely toast, trying to get some repairs to it. They've put a new front end on it, but they still got some suspension work to do. We may well see Burton come out just to try and do a couple of extra cycle laps at the conclusion of this event. But there you can see then a look between these two drivers battling now for essentially his P2. But they can't fight too hard, because if they do, then they're going to allow Mark Usher back into the conversation. This is what I mean. 32.5 seconds is the gap right now between De Jong and Usher. And consistently, Usher is a second and a half faster a lap. It's going to be a case that these three guys are likely going to be within one camera shot of each other by the time we get into the last 15 minutes of this event. It's still a long way to go though. 33 minutes worth of racing. And of course, these guys in the Verizon IndyCar Series on iRacing, they're used to doing races of about an hour. A little bit longer. You're almost getting to full race distances in terms of the classic IndyCar Series. And that does both mentally and physically exert these drivers just a little bit more. But a couple of other battles going on track right now, like this one. This is Andrew Brown versus Rans Josef Sturm. Gap is 0.5 of a second. We're having a look from the rear of Andrew Brown. You've also got a lap down car, that is Tim Miller at the back of your shot there as well. But Andrew Brown's always been playing defense here today. He's been very strong at it in P number 8 as it stands. But you can see he's had 2 places gained since the start of this race. His best lap time of the day, a 1:11.220. He was a second and a half slower than that almost though, the last time past the start finish line, as they've done 59 laps now around this racetrack. Done that last time by. in the dirty air, actually a little bit slower compared to Andrew Brown. He did himself a 112.6. That dirty air and the marbles really starting to hurt some of these drivers now. And they will be playing around with things like their anti-roll bars in the cars to try and get the balance of these cars better sorted. And there you can see the track conditions. It is windy here today. It's also pretty cool. California style. It's very cool out there, to be fair. We've got clear skies, 58% humidity, but it's the wind that is the big factor. The wind really making things difficult for these drivers here today. Durham on pit road. Well, we're going to start and try and figure out about how much time is going to be lost in a pit stop. Let's have a look. In fact, we've got Lars Bachmann on pit road as well. That's probably going to be a bit more of an accurate thing for us to look at. So Bachmann coming into his stall. Let's see what pit time. We're going to base it upon Bachmann. And we're going to see exactly how long around it's going to be. Of course, the stationary time, you add it to the time them coming into and off of pit road. From cone to cone then, you're looking at somewhere in the region of 35 seconds, 33.8 seconds there. It was cone to cone for Lars Bachmann. So that is our starting point. Of course, when we see De Jong or Garis come onto pit road, we get yourselves a time of that one as well. But you're looking in the region of 33 seconds. And last time by, well, actually, Mikel De Jong became only the second driver in the field to do a time in the 109s. He did a 109.952. He was actually faster than Mark Usher that last time by. In fact, Andreas Warner. Oh, De Jong there is going to go past Andreas Warner. I think Warner just had himself. It's Warner. Warner's out of fuel, I think. Something's happened to Andreas Warner. We need to get ourselves a look at it. We're going to go on board of Andreas Warner. Is it a gearbox? Is he out of fuel? He's out of fuel. Andreas Warner. Andreas Warner ran out of fuel there in the Tequila Patron car. He is out of fuel. And that means surely. Yeah, we've got Garis on pit road. Garis is on pit road as we speak. So we know that these guys were due to come in anytime soon. Andreas Warner, one lap short. He's run out of fuel. They're going to tow the car back to pit road. But this is an absolute disaster for that Tequila Patron car. There you can see Dennis Garis making himself what's going to be his final pit stop of the day then. Get it full to the brim, Dennis. 11.7 out and away he goes. Well, we want to know where Mark Usher is in relation, because we think that this could still be close. Of course, Usher may yet have to do another pit stop. We have to talk about that one. But from our watch, it's about 6.5 seconds. It's 5 seconds as it stands right now. There is Dennis Garis. There is Mark Usher. I said you could swing one camera around and get them both in shot. You can do so. Mark Usher is 5 seconds behind Dennis Garis right now. Mikel De Jong leads this murder race. Of course, he went longer last time. We know that. Will he go longer again? Well, he's going to go past the start-finish line once again. So Dennis Garis is relinquished the race lead. This is our 7th different lead change of the day. And there's the gap between De Jong and Dennis Garis. Of course, De Jong has to come on towards pit road very soon. But Andreas Warner, they've got that car back on pit road. He must be livid right now. They're going to get it topped up with some ethanol fuel. You can see the ethanol fuel there on the side of his car. And he's going to come back out onto the racetrack now. But what a day. He's never had the luck, Andreas Warner. It's not gone well for him before. It's not gone well for him here today. Andreas Warner, disappointing. He's going to lose out on a top 5 finish. And Grosser, after an incident earlier on, through just pure grit, he's now back up into a top 5 position. Of course, Warner will be back into the top 5 eventually, potentially. We'll talk about why in a couple of moments' time. I'm going to go back on board, though, with that driver. Oh, he's going to come on towards pit road this time by. So he's coming on towards pit road this time by. We're going to set the watch now. So from cone to cone, let's figure out what it's going to be pit stop time-wise for Mikel de Jong. His last lap was a 110.200. You know, pit road speed here, it's walking pace. It's 55 kilometers an hour. It seems so slow after racing so hard. Into his box then comes Mikel de Jong. Getting up topped up with fuel. Short stop, 7.7 seconds. Out and away he goes. And it's going to be a 30-second lane-to-lane, pretty much exactly there for Mikel de Jong. And I tell you what, Mikel de Jong might steal the lead here. It's going to be so close as they come out of turn number 1. Mikel de Jong, 27 minutes remaining, steals the race lead from Dennis Garis. Well, we said earlier that de Jong went longer than any other driver in the first stop. He filled it to the brim for the second stop. It meant that when he had to make his final stop, it was always going to be short. But here's a fascinating tale. 3 drivers, 3.2 seconds, 26.5 minutes worth of racing to go. Mikel de Jong leads this motor race. Second place is Dennis Garis. Third place is Mark Usher. Usher, we don't know if he's got enough fuel to go to the end of this event. He had himself an incident. If he was going to go into fuel save mode, he probably would have done so already. But he just did a 19.7 last time by. Bit of a kick out of that car as he comes out the final corner. A 19.7 once again. Only 2 drivers have done a 109 in this event so far. In fact, make that 3 drivers, because Dennis Garis has just done 1. The 3 drivers have done a 109 in this event. They are Mikel de Jong, they are Dennis Garis, and they are Mark Usher. Mark Usher has the fastest lap of the race though, by 0.2 of a second. Business has just picked up here in California, and we still got 25 minutes worth of racing to go. And we've got battles going on in your top 3 like no tomorrow. Well, here's a look on board then with Mikel de Jong. We'll actually get ourselves a look from the rear, because this is going to be a more interesting sight. It's 1 second. This is going to be a calm before the storm situation, I think. These guys just going to get themselves into a rhythm. Usher could well win this race, but we need to remember he may need to pit again. So far, leading this event, we've had 3 drivers lead it. They are the people in P1, P2, P3. Mikel de Jong has now led 7 laps of this event. Dennis Garis has led 38. Mark Usher has led 22. When we come back, the final 20 minutes of this event are going to be barn-storming crazy. And that will be after we take you RaceSpotTV side by side.
Nick Candy, what a move. Truex on the outside, contact made. 56 slides it out of 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
You never miss a moment of RaceSpotTV side by side, and you've seen what we've been looking at for the last lap or so on board with Dennis Carisse. What you might not be able to see is this. You've got yourself right behind Mark Usher. This is a freeway right now, and it's anyone's to win. Dennis Carisse trying an additional line there out the final corner, looking for momentum. Look at them. They're nose to tail as they come down in towards turn number 1. Who will pound first? Will Carisse go to the inside? Yes, he will. Carisse looking for the race lead. Not going to get it. And this has really now started to pick up because Usher can pounce at any moment. And it's going to be a case of, can they keep Usher behind collectively? Because if Usher can get to the lead of this race, he will walk away with it. But also, Usher can save some fuel right now. So Usher is in a perfect position. But no, he's down to the inside of Dennis Carisse. Usher up into P number 2. Carisse down into P3. Well, anything can still happen in this event. We are going to focus it with your battle out front there. And here is a wonderful look. Get our helicopter riding through the trees there. As we can see our 3 drivers separated by pretty much nothing. Carisse has fallen back a little bit as they head themselves now down into the final corner. De Jong trying to play the defensive line. Usher on the outside. Carisse makes contact there with Usher. And now Usher's going to go a little bit wide as they come down in towards turn number 1. Oh my word. What's going to happen next? We're having a look from the rear of the driver. And there comes Usher looking down to the inside. No, he can't get the move done. Not just yet. Well, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. We've got 20 minutes worth of racing. Any one of these 3 drivers can still win. But the thing is, they've all got to try and defend from Usher. Although, we still need to know, is Usher got enough fuel to get to the end? Usher looking around the outside. This could be the pass for the series. If he manages to make it work, he's not going to be able to just yet. But they're going to stay side by side. They don't go side by side. They stay side by side. They go 3 wide up to the corkscrew. I have never seen this in my life. And I will tell you out of it, Mikel de Jong leads. Then you got yourself Carisse in second. And then you've got yourself Usher in third. Have you ever seen 3 wide into the corkscrew in any car? Never have I seen that. And they all survive to come out the other way. The only phrase I can say to that one is wow. But de Jong still leads at the end of that one. What a lap. What a lap, and it's still going on here. It's still going to go on. And de Jong has a lead of 6 tenths per second. That's not going to last long. What a crazy lap. We're going to replay that one after the race because I have never seen drivers going 3 wide into the corkscrew and be able to live to tell the tale. We're running ourselves on board now with Mark Usher. But it all started a lap ago. Usher held it 2 wide through 6. Held it 2 wide through 7. I very rarely see people go 2 wide through turn number 7. Now Usher thinking about the outside into the corkscrew. Not going to be able to make it happen. For those of you that care, Robert Grossi just made a pit stop, by the way. Everyone's now made their final stop of the day. Andres One is back out on track, but he's not in a top 5 position as it stands. He's got a bit of work to do. He's 12 seconds behind Robert Grosser. As that Usher onto pit road. It is Usher onto pit road. It's a 2-horse race then. Usher coming down on towards pit road. We didn't have enough fuel. We knew it. He's going to be about 30 seconds back when all is said and done. I want to watch this again, though. We want to watch this again. We're going to rewind the tape. If anything happens in your battle for the race lead, we are going to let you know. But we're going to have a look back at what will go down as one of the greatest laps in IndyCar sim racing history, because these three drivers put on a clinic of how to race nose to tail, side by side, to absolute perfection. We're going to go on board then and experience this one with Mark Usher, because this is simply unbelievable. Into turn number 1, you can see trying to find a way down to the inside of De Jong. De Jong not going to give him the lane at all. Usher stays where he is. Then they're going to work themselves through 2. They're going to work themselves through 3. And it's all going to start getting a little bit crazy right about now. So we're going to use our aerial coverage, because this is going to do it absolutely perfectly. Just look at this then. To the outside goes Mark Usher through turn number 6. They stay side by side as they head themselves up into 7. You very rarely see this. And then you can see on the grass, here comes Grease. They are 3 wide in towards the corkscrew. I have never seen that intensity in racing, and the drivers being able to come out the other side. I must give props to all 3 of those drivers for what was just an exceptional piece of driving all around there. Well done, guys. It doesn't matter who wins this race in some ways. What we have just seen is simply breathtaking. Nothing else you can say about that one at all. As it stands, though, Usher is 25 seconds behind Grease and De Jong. So this is now a 2-horse race. But what a 2-horse race it's going to be between 2 established names in sim racing. Mikel De Jong in the number 5 Mad Cat Racing Team car. Denise Grease in the number 16 machine. Grease, a former winner of the iRacing.com Indianapolis 500 and a former winner of the ISOWC IndyCar series. This could well go down as an actual grandstand finish. I think I've just about got my voice back after that one. But we're still going to have some fireworks in this event. And the issue is, of course, if they carry on battling too hard, Usher might well come back into the picture. Oh no! It's going to all change! Grease there will take the race lead. We saw just for a moment Mikel De Jong. He just lost it at turn number 3. It's the 3rd driver who have done it today. And just like that, Dennis Grease leads this motor race. And here is a second look. So it's all going to be down in turn number 2 and 3. So we're going to slow it down right about here. And you can just see, coming down into the corner, De Jong, he just gets himself a little bit of tail slide on corner exit. So it's not going to be hitting the wall like we've seen before. But you can just see there, just touches the white line. He's not actually on the curb. The tyres on the white line. And just like that, it's as simple as he's having to basically get out of gas, correct the car, and by the time they come up the opposite side of the bridge, there we are. Dennis Grease now leads this motor race, although they're still wanting to go at it. There's only half a second separating these 2 drivers as they continue to scrap it out. What an event this has been here today. We have had ourselves 8 different lead changes. 3 drivers have led this event. We go back on board then with Mikel De Jong. He's struggling. He's pushing right now. Of course, he's gone from being in clean air to dirty air. He knows that. But he's still desperately trying to find a way of getting himself back into contention. We're going to show you some of the sights and sounds then of this racetrack. This is the battle still going on for your race lead between 2 impeccable drivers of their field. This is Mikel De Jong and this is Dennis Grease. Exit of the corkscrew. Let's listen in to some of the beauties of the engine notes of this Solara IR05. 12 minutes, 55 seconds remaining on the play clock. Here's a look then from our aerial coverage, which is today brought to you by the iRacing 4 app from Android. And there you can see these 2 drivers. They are in literally the slipstream of each other. And Mikel De Jong will probably want another bite of the cherry. The question will be, does he have enough in the tank after losing the lead? He has led today, De Jong, 15 laps. Garice has led 40, Mark Usher has led 22. Interesting point there, last time by a 109.397 for Mark Usher. I will say that again, 109.397 for Mark Usher. That is incredible, that lap time, and that would have, I believe, put him very close to the top of the field, if not in pole position. We'll confirm that one after the race. There's your top 8 on your screen. You'll notice now, just got ourselves 5 guys on the lead lap. In fact, we'll be down to 4 guys on the lead lap before too long. Robert Grosser is the last driver on the lead lap. Andreas Warner is the first driver 1 lap down. Of course, he ran out of fuel. Had to get the car brought back to pit road. And there you can see Andreas Warner. He could well have been leading this race or right there in the picture. Because, of course, him and De Jong had been battling throughout the middle part of this event. And then, bump, just like that, Andreas Warner was a lap short of fuel in his second stint. And because of that, he's down in P number 6. And he well could have been in contention to win this motor race. Up the hill they look then as they come down in towards the corkscrew. Here is Dennis Garice, here is Mikel de Jong. Outstanding. There are no other real outstanding battles, by the way, on the racetrack. Keeping an eye on timing and scoring because Juan-Josef Stum is trying to catch up to the rear of Daniel Berenson. This is for P8 and 9 on track. But let's go back on board with Mikel de Jong as they come down in towards turn 1 again. I want to have a look at the speed chart very quickly. De Jong does get a little bit of a toe. Not much over the grease, but he gets a little bit of a toe. That might be a difference maker if he wants to have a lunge. But it's not enough. He's going to have to literally almost be side by side coming out of the corner if he wants to do that. As our onboard coverage here today, ladies and gentlemen, is brought to you by And1 Design, the official graphics partner of RaceSpotTV. I take that back, ladies and gentlemen. It's our aerial coverage, which is brought to you by And1 Design. So let's have a look then at our aerial coverage, brought to you by And1 Design. They are the official graphics partner, regardless there of RaceSpotTV. Want to quickly give a big shout out as well to Istvan Bala, who continuously makes these wonderful camera layouts for us, making sure that everything looks as real and as accurate as possible, making sure that we get some amazing immersive experiences to give you guys. So a tip of the hat to you there, Istvan Bala, as we're into the last 10 minutes of this event. Less than 10 laps to go. We're looking at about 8 laps to go, so it'll be 88 laps that will likely do in this event here today. Half a second still separating your top 2 drivers. Daniel Pack, I did say that Sturm is catching to the rear of Berenson. That one is indeed the case. And so we are. We're having a look at that gap right now. 3.2 seconds last time by. Sturm was a second faster than Berenson. It looks as though that could well be the case again. A 1:11.2 for Berenson and a 1:10.8. So 4 tenths of a second taken out that last time by. Sturm needs to push just a little bit more. But Berenson's lap times have been a bit scruffy as of late. He's been hovering around the 1:11 range. Anywhere between about a 1:11.1 to a 1:11.8 in most cases. So it does look as though that these 2 drivers will be on the same piece of real estate by the end of this event. It's just going to be a case of whether or not Stum has the chance to catch and pass to move himself up into P number 8. Update on retirees. Tim Bertie is out. We saw him out earlier on after a crash in turn number 3. Benjamin Nelson, he's had a horrible day. He is out of the event as well. You got yourself Chrissy Mansoon, number 17 car, out of the race. Jan Kaljan and Paul Morris are your additional retirees. 14 of the 19 drivers that started this event are still running in it. Even though we've only got 5 drivers on the lead lap, we've still got some exceptional racing that's been taking place here today. So thank you for spending your Saturday afternoon with us here on RaceSpotTV. And, well, don't forget, Tuesday night, we get the Dallara DW12 out. And we go racing, and we do it in the 16 Street Racing League. I'm going to stop talking there, because De Jong, side by side with Garice, in towards the corkscrew. And it looks as though that maybe De Jong, that was a, hey, don't forget that I'm still there moment. But De Jong He's not given up, and him and Garis have been separated by less than a second for the last 30 laps or so, really. This is really intensive here. De Jong gets himself a little bit of snap oversteer on the exit of the final corner. That allows Garis a little bit of breathing room. Now, we saw earlier in this event, Garis did a slightly different strategy, almost being slow in, fast out of that final corner. That's the only way that I've seen anyone be able to pass in that run down in towards turn number 1. Having a look then on board from the front of Dennis Garis's car. I'm not quite sure what's wrong with this camera angle there. There we are. As he works himself down in towards turn number 4 once again. So we're having a look on board of him. Love the experience. You can just see how bumpy this racetrack is as well. As, De Jong's had himself an incident. He's now 1.6 seconds back. So something has just happened to Mikel de Jong. We're going to get ourselves a second look at that one. Is this going to be turned? Oh, look at that. Another drift for de Jong. That has been his 3rd drift of the day. He saves it. But it cost him a second. Now we'll know what the raw speed of de Jong is. Has Garis got anything left in the tank? We know that the two fastest laps that these guys have done have been separated by no more than... De Jong's on pit road. De Jong is on pit road. 6 minutes to go. Mikel de Jong is on pit road. Incredible stuff. He can't make it to the end. Can Garis make it to the end? This will bring Mark Usher back into play. Usher's already passed. Usher's passed de Jong already. This has completely changed perception of this race once again. Could Usher still find a way to victory lane? I have no idea. As it stands, de Jong is 7 seconds behind Mark Usher. There is Usher. He's in P number 2. He's 16.7 seconds behind Dennis Garis. We'd almost forgotten about him because of the fact that we know that really he was too far back. But if Garis has to save fuel in the last 5 minutes of this event, then it's going to be game, set, and match to Mark Usher. But the thing is, if Garis needed to save fuel, he needs to have done this 10 laps ago. You can save fuel here. It's a track where it's pretty easy in some regards to save fuel. But if Garis has got to go onto pit road again, Usher has this motor race in the bag. Only thing worth looking at is to see whether or not on fresh... I don't even think... No, Young didn't even put fresh tyres on. His pit stop, 4.5 seconds. Now, these guys aren't Formula 1 tyre changers. They can't do the service in that amount of time, you know, in 2-3 seconds. 4.5 seconds, he would only have taken fuel. So he's not got the advantage of fresh rubber. Has Mikel de Jong. So it looks though that he is going to be out of it. As we've got Jack Baker on pit road. He needs a splash and dash as well. What's going on in this field? Because of course, don't forget, Mikel de Jong was the driver who came in last and both of the pit stops. He only did a 7.7 second stop. De Jong has thrown this race away simply because of the fact that he might have got his calculations wrong. He only put 7.7 seconds worth of fuel in that last time by previous. So actually, another second second and a half would have actually put him into contention to win this event. De Jong short field, thought he had the fuel to go to the end. He didn't, and he is going to be livid about that one after this event. But as it stands, Dennis Garis still leads the way. 3.5 minutes left on the play clock. Not often anyone says 3.5 minutes. You know what I mean. 3.5 minutes remaining on the play clock. We have no gaps smaller than 5 seconds on track except for this one. We talked about Sturm catching up to the rear of Burrison. He has. It's 1.5 seconds. The issue is, though, both these guys are going slower and slower right now. Sturm did a 110.8, a 111.1 for Burrison that last time by. So Burrison's actually picked up the pace. There's technically 3 laps of this event to go. We're going to ride on board then with Sturm. just to let you know. 2 minutes to go, 2-minute warning. Grease hasn't come on towards pit road. The gap though is down to 13.3 seconds. Maybe Grease just taking it easy. There's going to be 2 to go at the line. Here is Grease. We're on board with Grease now. Into the corkscrew for what will be his 3rd to last time. Through 9. Into turn 10. Exit of the final corner, and you can see, yeah, it's going to be 2 laps to go. A lap time here is in the 1:10-ish range. It's going to cross the line with 1:20 to go. And here's the interesting thing. I always talk about on timed race that 1 extra lap. That 1 extra lap, and that might well catch a couple of people out still in this event. Usher has made himself an additional pit stop. Young has made himself an additional pit stop. A couple of other drivers have done so as well down your field. We could well see a couple of people falling out of fuel. 1 minute on the clock remaining. So in a moment's time, we will see the white flag out. And what an incredible event it has been here today. An absolutely incredible motor race that we have seen. It will go down in history as one of the craziest moments I have seen in the history of IndyCar racing in any form. Yes, you got the 3 wide starts at Indianapolis, and I've seen 4 wide at Indy. But you do not ever see drivers go 3 wide into the corkscrew and survive. I'm sorry, I've never seen it. I probably will never see it again. But that, for me, has been the highlight not only of the day, but of this entire season, as Dennis Grease will get the white flag. There is 1 more lap to go of this event here in towards turn number 1. Dennis Grease will come. Well, if he's going to run out of fuel, he's going to run out of fuel. But we don't think he will. There we are. Play clock has expired. This is confirmation of the final lap of the day. 11.1 seconds between Dennis Grease and Mark Usher. Mikel de Jong is in P number 3. Maximilian Schneider in 4th. Robert Grosser rounding out your top 5. Half a lap now to go for Dennis Grease. He has led 51 laps here today. I said 88 laps. I was wrong by 10 seconds. It was 89 laps that will be completed here today. Grease now just has himself the corkscrew and then 2 more corners to go. He's got lap traffic ahead. He's not going to worry about it. He's going to back off and allow that. In most cases, the driver just like, I'll just let you go past. If you're not fighting for position, you know, it's just easier sometimes. And indeed, that is what the AccuPure car will do. And into the final corner. Dennis Grease, the number 16 machine, will claim victory here at Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. What a victory. Dennis Grease is your winner. Mark Usher out of the final corner is going to come home in 2nd place. And then Mikel de Jong, after leading 15 laps, having to pit with just a few to go, will only be able to manage a podium position. But what a race it has been here today. De Jong, coming past the start-finish line, will round out your podium. Maximilian Schneider, we've not talked about him for a while, but the treble 7 machine will be the last car to come past. Actually, no, I take that back. There's 2 more drivers on the lead lap. But the Deutsch Post car out of the final corner, he will come home in P number 4. And then it's Mr. Anniversary Man himself, Robert Grosser, will come home in a moment's time to claim P5 in today's event. It's been a crazy wide here at Laguna Seca. Robert Grosser then out the final corner. And Grosser will come home in the 5th place. He is the last driver on the lead lap. Give you an update. Sturm was not able to get himself past Harrison, just to let you know. Well, there you can see then. There's your winner. It is Dennis Grease. And ladies and gentlemen, this is your final race results. When all was said and done, it was a 10-second gap. But the racing will be the thing that people will remember from this one. Mikel de Jong in 3rd, Maximilian Schneider in 4th, Grosser, Werner, Berison, Stum, Baker and Brown rounding out your top 10. There you can see Lars Bachmann, Miller, Young, Catalano, Bertie. There's the rest of your field up on your screen. And what a day. I mean, I'm speechless still. That 3-wide moment into the corkscrew, you will never see as crazy as that. As there's the donuts. We'll get that on replay for you, shall we? Here we are. Here's the donut for Dennis Garis. Diamant Poulet. Number 16 machine. Dominant when all was said and done. But it wasn't easy for him. He has himself the win by 10 seconds. He was helped along the way. Dennis Garis is your victor. We'll be back with post-race coverage after these messages. You're watching RaceSpotTV. What a race. What a race. What a race. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Classic IndyCar Series post-race coverage here. I am still in shock. We're going to play the tape for you again. We're going to talk you through what is one of the wildest things you will ever see in any sim race ever. And let's not forget, these are open wheel cars. Yet these guys did this. Okay, we're going to talk you through it from here. You've got yourself Mark Usher. He's going to poke that car to the outside as he heads himself down in towards turn number 5. They stay side by side as they run up the hill in towards turn number 6, as we can see here. We're going to slow it down at this point because then Dennis Garis then thinks he's going to move that car to the left-hand side. And yes, they technically went 3 wide in towards the corkscrew. Just lost our footage. We're going to get it back for you right now. We're going to show it to you a couple more times as we do interviews. We've got Mikel de Jong here. He came home in P number 3 when all was said and done. But what a race. And Mikel, you are there. I've never seen a 3 wide ever in towards the corkscrew. You guys, technically, I'm going to say technically, were 3 wide into the corkscrew. You live to tell the tale. What happened there?
Hi Will. I have no idea, but I'm really glad we all survived that one. It was hairy for sure.
We're going to show it to you again. Here you can see 2 wide, and the thing 2 wide into turn number 7. People don't realise as well, is incredibly difficult. But then to be 3 wide into the approach of the corkscrew, You come out, and I will say this will go down as one of the greatest things we've ever commentated on in RaceSpotTV history. But it started off being an interesting race for you, and then of course fuel calculation issues takes the opportunity away from you to get yourself a victory. But what was it? Was it just a miscalculation then on your second pit stop?
Pretty much. I knew that I didn't have the outright pace to win, so I had to try something on fuel strategy. I saved a lot of fuel in the first 2 stints and then underfueled in the last one, hoping that I could save enough fuel to make it to the end and still be in the lead, but Dennis and Mark were just too fast. I couldn't keep them behind me and I couldn't save enough, so I had to make a splash and dash. But I'm very happy with third anyway. This was a very, very strong field of drivers.
It was, and we're just getting ourselves one more replay. This is from on board with Dennis. Well, there you can see, 3 wide into towards a corkscrew. Exceptional, absolutely exceptional. Of course, the championship itself is no longer a possibility. That one is already wrapped up. But in terms of the remaining, race I think it is of the season, I know where we're going in my head, honest. First of all, what a season it's been so far. And of course, the iRacing people making this car free car now so people can run in it all the time. Seems to have increased the numbers a little bit. And don't forget as well, we've still got ourselves around at Twin Motegi to go. Motegi in itself is going to be exceptional as well.
Oh, that's such a difficult track, especially in this car. That's going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
And yet again, I have to thank Robert for organizing the series. I'm really glad to see such a big field today. It was awesome.
Yeah, indeed so. We'll talk to Robert in a moment. But Mikhail, before we let you go, anyone want to give a shout out to?
Denise and Mark for making sure we survived that one. That was some great racing, guys.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much, Mikhail de Jong. We also got Robert Grosser here. Robert, happy anniversary.
Oh, thank you very much.
Well, it's been an interesting day for you, of course. You had yourself a spin down at turn number 1, which then effectively ended your race and potentially also the race of Andreas Warner as well. Take us through what happened from your perspective.
Yeah, that was just very stupid driving error. I was overdriving the car a little bit. I don't really know. I just couldn't catch it. All I know is that I was hit by the succeeding traffic, and that caused some damage. So after some laps, some very slow laps, I decided to switch over to a 3-stop strategy to try something and see what happens.
Well, of course, you already are the series champion, so points don't matter as much to you now. But it's been hard racing here at Laguna Seca, and in fact, also pretty low attrition. But how happy are you to be able to get a top 5 when all was said and done? Was it 5 or 6?
I think it was 5th, but yeah, I'm absolutely happy with the result. I mean, to be honest, I benefit from some misfortune from guys like Andy, who were clearly faster today. But anyway, after my spin and the repair pit stop, I stayed incident-free most of the time. So I was pushing very hard, and I'm very, very happy with the top 5 finish. I didn't expect it in such a strong field today.
Well done, P5. We're going to let you go. Spend some time with your wife before we let you go. Anyone want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, first I would like to thank, of course, Gecko Systems, our main sponsor, for supporting the series, and also, of course, would like to thank Joanna for allowing me to drive the race today. And that's actually all I would like to say, because I'm going to leave now.
No worries. Thank you very much, Robert Grace, coming home P5 today. P4, the treble 7 Deutsch Post car of Maximilian Scheider. I'll tell you one thing. We've talked a lot about you at the start of the race, Maximilian. Then we didn't talk about you for quite a while, and then you ended up in P number 4. Talk us through your day.
Yes, I was in 9th or something all the time before I got 4th, and don't know who was the guy, but I think it was Andrew Brown with the number 60 car. He held me up pretty much the whole race till to my first stop, and someone he did made a mistake in the fast left corner before the corkscrew, and there I touched him a little bit with my right front. I thought I'm now out, but I had pretty much luck that I just damaged my front ring a little bit, which wasn't too bad. But yes, then I did pit and just drove my race, and then I was just in 4th position. I don't know how I got to that, but I think there were many guys who just didn't I don't know, they just threw the car away or something like that. I don't know.
Wow.
Just I also didn't expect it to got in 5th position, because the other guys were really strong when I was 9th, but then they were just away, like I don't know what happened there.
One round of the championship left to go. That's going to be at Twin Ring Motegi. The difficult racetrack on the slippery Japanese asphalt. You looking forward to that one?
Yes, I don't have this track, driven this track. I have to buy it. I didn't even bought it, but I think it will be a nice race. I also don't like the track really, because of that I didn't bought it. But I see forward to that and hope I will get also a nice finish like today.
Well, before we let you go, anyone you want to give a shout out to at all?
Yes, I will give a shout out to my team, simrc.de, and to the Deutsche Post, which is our sponsor.
Well, thank you very much. Maximilian coming home in P number 4 here today. Going to get a word with your race winner in just 1 moment's time, but first, going to have a chat with Jack Baker coming home in P number 9 in the Treble 1 machine. And Jack, been an interesting day for you here today. You've been up and down the field. A top 10 finish though, is that what you were after?
Yeah, in all honesty, really, that was what I wanted at the end of the day. It was a bit of a mixed day, and it being 2 o'clock in the morning where I am, I'm a bit tired, so I did alright considering.
Right, you were just 1 lap down when all was said and done. You fell behind Joseph Sturm, Frank Joseph Sturm and Barison towards the end of the event. You were one of those drivers that had to make a bit of a splash and dash as well. How was it as far as the fuel situation was concerned for you here? And how difficult is it to calculate what's a very changing racetrack?
I was expecting there'd be a bit of a fuel overlap, so I attempted the undercut early in the first stint, where I did undercut a couple of guys, and then that kind of didn't pay off later, where I had to do the splash and dash. But overall, if you just had run your stints to the full, you probably would have made it in the end, but it's just unlucky, unfortunately.
Next time out, we go to Twin Ring Motegi. It's a difficult racetrack, even more difficult than Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. Is it one that we might expect to see you get another top 10?
Twin Ring Motegi is one of those tracks where if you can get a really good drive off the corner with the car, you'll technically do alright, and I've raced there before in other series, so hopefully we'll do alright. I think qualifying will be key. I kind of had a bit of trouble in qualifying today, and it kind of hurt me, getting held up in early laps, but yeah.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing you in 3 weeks' time for the final round of the championship. And before we let you go, again, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Shout out to Stephen as well, the other Aussie. He must be pretty tired as well.
Indeed so. So 2 people running right into the night, and Stephen Catalano coming home in P at number 14. Attrition working to his advantage just a little bit. Now got the chance to have a word with your race winner, Mr. Dennis Garissa. Bonjour, mon poulet.
Bonjour mon poulet, bonjour, oui.
It's been a crazy race. I want to talk to you. That freeway situation into the corkscrew. When you moved your car to the left-hand side, do you think it's all over?
No, no, it was well, I have to try something, because Mark was pushing like hell behind me, and so anyway, those guys are good drivers, so we managed it.
You did manage it, and of course Mark had to come in for a splash, Mikel had to come in for a splash, you didn't have to come in for a splash. How close were you in fuel when all was said and done?
Oh, fuel was okay. I was on 2-stop strategy, and I even have room on the tank at the finish, so it was okay for me.
Well, you did claim victory, and it was by an impressive margin, but at the end of it, you also led the most laps here today with 52 laps compared to Usher with 22 and De Jong for 15. Were you expecting to have that big a lead at the end, though?
Maybe at the end, but really it was not an easy race. It was very hard to be consistency on this track, and you cannot push. You are not allowed to do any mistakes. So it was a hard one.
Next time we'll talk to you, of course, will be when we go to Twin Motegi, and that will be in 3 weeks' time to round out the championship. What's your aspirations heading into that event?
I've always some difficulty with this track. I'm slow. I'm struggling everywhere. So I'm going to try, but I don't expect anything huge.
Well, before we let you go, anyone you want to give a shout out to at all?
Yeah, Robert for putting this series together. It's really fun. It's nice to see some mini car on the grid. It was a really good race, and thanks to him also for preparing the car. I just have to use the tool on the car and tweak the tire pressure, and everything was fine. And well, thanks to the sponsor to make it happen, and my teammate.
Well, thank you very much, Dennis Gariz, being your victor here today. That's all we've got time for, except for this one more shot of the craziest thing you'll ever see at Laguna Seca. This has been a RaceSpotTV presentation of the Classic IndyCar Series powered by Gecko Systems. For myself, Will Vincent, thank you very much for being a part of our coverage, and we will talk to you all next time. Bye-bye.